The New Orleans Saints are this year's poster child of the salary cap means nothing. All of that cap magic, remember we talked needlessly, apparently, about how they were $70 million, $90 million over the cap, and now they're one of the teams that actually has the most cap space available at time of recording.
They carved out a lot of cap space for a quarterback that never showed up.
Yes, they did. Lost out on the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, but they did make some good pickups. I mean, bringing Jameis Winston back is not a bad deal, in my opinion.
No, because you cannot go into the season with Taysom Hill as your quarterback. And Ian Book is bad.
Also, from Jeremy's Jets, Marcus Maye comes in to take over the safety spot.
And I'll just go ahead and tell you, that's a nice nice low-risk takeover for Marcus Williams signing.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Maye's a good player. He got a DUI with my Jets and didn't tell anybody, and it pissed him off. So you wind up with a nice low-risk, high-reward signing to add to that defense, and I think that defense is going to be good.
So how do you add to it in the NFL draft, and what else do you need to add in the NFL draft? Well, at number 18 overall, the New Orleans Saints decide, Michael Thomas isn't enough, which we all know. You need another playmaker. So they'll go with Jameson Williams, the wide receiver out of Alabama.
They have my favorite first two picks of any team in this draft. First one, obviously, Jameson Williams. The biggest drawback on him is he's a little thin, but he's so fast. All right, the knock on thin receivers is that you can jam them and throw them off. You can't jam Jameson Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he gets by you, you are toast. Tore the ACL against Georgia. That's obviously a problem, but I mean, I think we've come to realize that ACLs and Achilles are not the death sentence that they used to be. I think he'll be ready for the beginning of the season and would serve to be, to me, a very nice tandem with Michael Thomas. Of all the receivers in this class, I think I like him the best to pair with Michael Thomas if they had every receiver on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great fit. Jameis Winston has a good deep ball arm. I think he will come back and be just fine. You need a guy that can hit the shots. Because defensively, you're going to be good enough. And this division sucks outside of Tampa Bay.
Right.
So you've kept the band together for the most part. You're the second best team in this division, and I think you're a threat to make the playoffs. And if you make the playoffs and you put weapons around Jameis Winston, I think you're a threat to win a game in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Weird for me to say that, considering I thought you were going to crash into the ocean when Sean Payton left. But you kept it together pretty well.
Yeah, just one more year of shuffling around the money, and here you are. You got a team that can actually threaten for a playoff spot. In the second round, 49 overall, Tyler Smith, tackle out of Tulsa.
If I had to bet my house on a player with a team outside of the top 15, it'd be Tyler Smith, New Orleans Saints. I'm not sure they won't take him to 18.
Really?
If Jameson Williams is not on the board, I could fully see them just kicking the receiver down the road because I know they love this kid. Been a late riser in this part of the draft process. He's a little raw. Played a good bit at Tulsa. He's a better run blocker right now than he is pass blocker, but he's a gigantic human. He's 6'5", 330.
Does he project to be the long-term replacement for Terron Armstead?
Yes, they think he's a left tackle. There are a lot of teams in this league, I think, that project him on the right side. New Orleans doesn't. They love this kid. There is some raw. There's going to be some growing pains. And I know the coach is different, but the organizational structure is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Terron Armstead was raw when he came into the league too. And this is probably my favorite pairing of player and situation because I think he can come in and start right away. He's been a little holdy at times, and that's at Tulsa. So, that's going to be a problem in the NFL too. But if you work with this kid, I think he can be very good in this league, and New Orleans is hammered on him.
2 compensatory picks in the third round for the New Orleans Saints. The first one at 98th overall, VELUS Jones Jr., wide receiver out of Tennessee.
You remember the last time that New Orleans took a kid from Tennessee that was a little raw?
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, it was Alvin Kamara. So I could easily see him going back to the well. I really like this kid. Right now, he's more athlete than he is football player. He's not a great route runner. He's ridiculously fast. Ran a 4.31. It basically has crushed the entire pre-draft process. But I still can't get away from the fact of you can't run routes. He reminds me of Cordero Patterson. I'm going to have to manufacture touches, but by God, if I get the ball in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
He's running out of the backfield. I can see him playing that Deebo Samuel role that's becoming so popular in the NFL of a player that I can just put them anywhere. Demetric Felton with the Browns. There have been a slew of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I could see him being. It's just an addition to the offense. I almost feel like we shouldn't even call these guys wide receivers. They should just – this is like the athlete when you're recruiting in college football. I can't tell you exactly how you're going to get the ball in his hands, but you will. And when you do, it's going to go quite nicely.
3 picks later, at 101 overall, Ed Ingram, the guard out of LSU.
I absolutely am drunk on this kid. This would be a depth piece. And, yes, it's not lost on me that LSU's right down the road from New Orleans. I got that. That's not why I did this. This, to me, this could be an Andrus Peat replacement. Might not be this year, but in time. I think he would be better than Andrus Peat right now.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And to me, if you tell me that you rebuild that left side of the line after losing Terron Armstead with Ed Ingram and Tyler Smith, you're in really good shape. You still got McCoy, Cesar Ruiz that I've always liked in spite of the fact he hasn't played particularly well, and Ryan Ramczyk, who's the best right tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good offensive line, and it's young. I've said this before. I want to add another piece to my offensive line every 2 years, 3 years at max. And to me, this is 2 long-term starters that you can add in the same draft.
In the 4th round, 120 overall.
This is the one I'm going to get killed for.
Yeah, you got him taking Cole Kelly. He's a quarterback out of southeastern Louisiana.
He is a gigantic human. He's 6'7", 260.
That's
big arm. He kind of reminds me of a much more athletic Joe Flacco. And I know what's coming. But Taysom Hill, but Ian Book, they're both bad. They're both bad. I said it last year when you took Ian Book in the middle of this draft. You're going to regret doing that. And I didn't see anything that changed my mind because he's not an NFL quarterback. Cole Kelly is a long-term play. Played at Southeastern Louisiana, so the level of competition is going to be huge. You're going to have to really work on his decision-making. But he has screamed up boards because the more people have watched on him and as little loved as this quarterback class is, people are getting intoxicated by the raw. I don't want this kid to see a jersey for a year. But I could see him playing as a backup next year and 2 years from now being the replacement to Jameis Winston. And I know that's saying a lot, and that's asking for a lot out of a 4th-round quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
There's just something about him that I watch and go, you're going to be one of those kids that how did we miss you? How did we miss you coming out of high school? How did we miss you coming out of college? Because the raw is there. Infuriating decision-making at a low level. That's going to have to improve. That will be what pivots him. He has the athleticism, the size, the arm, all of those things to be a quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Can
you improve his decision-making? I think you can, and I think New Orleans is a good place to try to do it.
In the 5th round, they have the 161st overall pick, Leon O'Neal Jr., safety from Texas A&M.
He's a rangy, strong safety. He played some corner at Texas A&M. He's a really good coverage guy for a strong safety. I think he pairs nicely with Marcus Maye. Obviously, you've got Malcolm Jenkins there, so you're not going to ask him to do a tremendous amount right now. But I think he can be a player in time. He's a little thin. And the 40 time. The reason that you can get him here is because he ran a 4.7. Now, I've said this 100 times. I do not care how fast you can run 40 yards in a straight line. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
This kid's got really good instincts. I mean, superbly good instincts. So good that at times they get him in trouble because he bites on double moves. Because he sees the initial turn, and that's where he makes a beeline, and as soon as they cut up the field, he is just burnt toast. So you're going to have to rein in the aggressiveness. But some of the best eyes of any secondary player in this class going to have to be better as a tackler. If you're going to play strong safety in the league, you're going to have to be a really good tackler. And he's not a bad one now. He's just going to have to get better. He falls into that Texas A&M crop of guys that I look at and go, I saw more talent, but I don't think you were ever well coached. Going into New Orleans, low expectations because they are so good defensively right now, and you just bring it along in the culture, can help you on special teams immediately, and could eventually be a player in this league.
All right, at 238th overall, 7th-round pick, the last one of the draft for the New Orleans Saints, JAYLEN Watson, cornerback out of Washington State.
This is all about he can't tackle. All about it. Coverage, I think he's really fluid in coverage, especially for as tall as he is. He is a ridiculously tall corner. 6'3", 200 pounds, ran a 4.5-ish 40. There's a lot of raw. The technique is raw as hell at times. But there's a lot of really good. He's got kind of the same thing Leon O'Neal does, only I think he can actually be a corner. I don't think Leon O'Neal can be a corner in this league. I look at JAYLEN Watson and go, you could be. It's just going to take some time. And you are going to have to learn to tackle. He's another one of those 90%er corners. That 90% of the snap is fantastic, and then you get to the 10%, they catch it, you miss the tackle, and it's ugly.
Right.
Those are guys that I want to work with because I can teach you how to tackle. What I can't teach you is to trust your eyes and for your feet and your brain to line up and all of those little buzzwords I use about corners. This kid has it, and he has it to a high level for where you're getting him. There are not many players at 238 that I look at and go, you project much of anything in this league? Now, he could be out of the league in 2 years. He could not make this roster, and it wouldn't surprise me. But this is the kind of shot when you're a New Orleans Saints that you can take because you are talented. You've kept everybody together. And if you're right, this is going to be a nice, cheap asset for 4 years.
The 2022 the post-free agency 7-round mock draft for the New Orleans Saints kicks off with couple of weapons to put around Jameis Winston and Jameson Williams and VELUS Jones. Also adding to the offensive line with Tyler Smith and Ed Ingram. This one could be a very successful draft class.
This would be an A-plus class to me.
All from the Sportsocracy. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get all of our team-by-team content throughout the Draftmas season.
If you like these picks, if you don't like them, if you think I'm a big man-bun, ginger-bearded, mulleted moron, feel free to chuck yours in the comments. I'll grade those as well. If there's a player you'd like to know how they fit with the New Orleans Saints, I go through every day and answer the comments, and we appreciate those greatly.
We always come to you from the Ingles studio. Don't forget to join us live every weekday afternoon at 3 o'clock. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and we'll see you next time.